Greetings, little grade 8. I am with Miss Shezi.
And I am with Miss Mapanga.
And today we are going to take you through a short lesson on social science, the geography part.
Before we continue with our lesson, Miss Mapanga, I have a few questions to ask you. The first question is, where do your parents live? And the second question is, where do your grandparents live?
Well, my parents live in Pietermaritzburg and my grandparents live at Bulwa.
What is the difference between the house your parents live and that your grandparents live in?
The house that my parents live in is very modern and it is developed, and it is situated in Pietermaritzburg. And the house that my grandparents live in is Mati and it is situated in Bulwa. So, Ms. Shezi, where do you choose to live between your parents' house and your grandparents' house?
I had to say this, but I prefer staying at my parents' house because in Umlazi there is more entertainment and there are also many people to interact with. And at Eshowe there are fewer people and it is quiet.
Okay, so this short discussion is leading us to today's topic, which is about settlements.
We have created 2 displays for you where you'll be able to know what a settlement is.
So, Miss Shezi and I have constructed these 2 displays for you to further understand settlements.
Miss Mapanga, from your own understanding, what is a settlement?
Okay, a settlement, little grade 8, is a place where people live.
Okay, there are 2 settlements that I know of. There is a rural settlement and an urban settlement.
Okay, so in front of me is the rural settlement that I will be explaining further about.
And in front of me is an urban settlement which I will be discussing.
So, what is a rural settlement? A rural settlement, according to the definition, is a small community or a village located in the countryside. So as you can see in my display, there is a small community. You can see by the houses that are here in this display that this is a small community away from the cities and towns. So this display is away from the cities because you can see there are no tall buildings and there are no houses or developments that are large and take up a lot of space. And it has homesteads, cows and crops. As you can see in our display, there is a kraal with animals inside, cows and whatever livestock that they are practicing in this display. Okay, so now that we have explained what a rural settlement is, I will give the opportunity to Miss Shezi to explain to you guys what is an urban settlement.
Okay, class. An urban settlement is a settlement that is very populated and highly developed with many buildings. Buildings like shopping centers, hospitals, hotels. It also has well-developed roads. As you can see, there is a tar road and you can see there are cars driving in a tar road. We also find railways and bridges.
Now that we have explained the rural settlement and the urban settlement, we would like to play a short song for you guys so that you can be a little bit relaxed before we move on to the next part of the lesson. Now, I will be helping you guys in identifying the characteristics of a rural area. So, the first point, in a rural area, there are fewer people living far apart from each other. As we can see in our structure, this is a homestead, but it is very far from this homestead. It's because in the rural areas, they are dispersed and are not closer to each other. Number 2, Most people in rural areas work on farms or with animals. They live close to nature like fields, forests, and rivers. As you can see in our display, there is a farm here with a tractor. So they are practicing farming to sell to urban areas. And you can see that there is a nature reserve with wild animals. So the rural areas are closer to places with nature. Number 3, rural areas may not have services like big hospitals, schools, or shops. The roads might be smaller and some homes might not have electricity or clean water. As you can see, in this rural area, the hospital does not show because they do not have larger hospitals, and when they do have clinics, they are very far away from the homesteads. Number 4, people in rural areas often know each other well and they live in close-knit communities. So as there are less people living in rural areas, it is easier for them to know each other, to know their neighbors, to know their friends. And most people in rural areas live in close-knit communities, which means that they help each other a lot and they support each other a lot. The last point is homes in rural areas are spread out with a lot of space around them. So often they use it for farming and gardening. For example, in this homestead, there is a lot of space. They are able to plant their crops here so that they can produce food for themselves. And there is also a kraal with animals. So they are also practicing farming with livestock. Maybe they have goats or they have cows. I will give the opportunity to Ms. Shezi to identify for us the characteristics of an urban area.
Moving on to identifying the characteristics of an urban area. In urban areas, we have many people living close together in small places. As you can see that houses are congested. We only have a limited space for people who are living in urban areas. Number 3, urban areas have many services like large hospitals, schools, big roads, and public transportation. Everything is usually connected. As you can see in the display, we find a large hospital that can accommodate many people, and we also find a big road which is called a main road. Everything here is well connected. Number 4, urban areas are busy with people from different places and backgrounds. Life is fast and people may not know all their neighbors. Due to diversity, people may not know all their neighbors and may not know each other because they come from different places to work in urban areas. They work in factories and other businesses. Number 5, homes in urban areas are often in tall buildings like apartments, and there is less spaces, and houses are close to each other. In urban areas, we mainly find tall apartments that accommodate many people, and these apartments may cause less space and houses can be congested.
So, as we come to the end of our lesson, I would like to share with Ms. Shezi what I have learned about urban areas. In urban areas, I have learned that there is a lot of houses, tall buildings, and there is more development, and that people do not know each other well, and that there is very good infrastructure.
I also learned something from rural settlement. What I learned is that people in rural settlement have houses that are scattered. I also find that they have big spaces to build. I also found that there are farms, there are also forests.
So this is the end of our lesson. Thank you everyone for joining our short lesson.
Please leave a summary of what you have learned today in the comment section.
Goodbye.
Bye.